Hello. So, I just got done turning in the receipts for the bottles. It was $1.75. Got me some cantaloupe and honey, I think honeydew melon for hydration. It was good. I like it. I used to hate these melons when I was younger. Now I love them. It's funny because I just walked out of the store and this lady was on the phone talking to somebody about, funny enough, about a couple she ran into that picks up bottles. I don't know if she knew them or not, but she's talking about how she thought they were homeless. Her and the person she was with thought they were homeless, but then turns out that I forgot my bag. Turns out that they own houses on like waterfront property. I think that's worth quite a bit in this area, and they've got tenants, and so she's like, they don't need the money, so they're out collecting bottles. I'm like, bro, I'm collecting bottles because I don't have a choice, and those bottles should be reserved for people that need the money. And that is shocking, the amount of the greed, the love of money to have to like literally. This is not economical, by the way, unless you're getting a lot fast. It took me in around maybe an hour of walking around picking up bottles, and I wasn't going fast. You know, let's see, it was 35 bottles that the machines accepted. So if you think of that, it's 5. Every bottle can is worth 5 cents. So if you get 10 of them, that's 50 cents. So 20 of them is $1 that the machine accepts. So you have to collect 20 items to get $1, and that's not easy. And like it took me an hour to almost get 40. Well, I collected over 40, but the machine only accepted 35. It was more towards 50. So, and you have to hunt for those usually. So that's not very viable, right? $1.75 in 1 hour's work. Minimum wage is like $17 an hour here. So, to think if you have money, you have income coming in, and you're out collecting cans and bottles off the streets, and you don't need it. That is a level of greed. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is how greedy this country is. And those, by the way, every bottle they take from people like me. That's money out of my pocket. So somebody who doesn't need the money can make more money. And this is like literally this little story is a theme of the problem of the West in this world. Is why do you think so many people, like for example from India and the Arabic world, go to England? Because a lot of money flows through there, and a lot of their money that resources used to be in their country is now over there. So they have no choice but to go over there so that they can have a decent living in decent modern standard living. Yeah, that was a guy from the shelter. I thought he worked, but I guess he doesn't. I guess he just goes around collecting bottles. Anyways, so you know what I mean? That's insane. You're literally robbing from the poor. You know, some of these people that are actually out here collecting bottles and cans like me need it. We don't have another option right now. At least not that one that's obvious. So that's just insane. You're literally robbing the poor to make an extra buck. And I'm telling you, it's not viable. This clearly is not worth your effort. If you have a vehicle, if you have skills, right, and you have education and things like that, this is not worth it at all. And you have options, you have connections and things. You know, I barely know anyone in the city. That's why there's so many reasons as to why I'm doing this. And there's so many reasons for people like that to not be doing that. And I've wondered how many people out here, because for example, it was really common in Arizona, right? In Phoenix, Arizona, it's very hot. It's very miserable to be homeless. There's not too many options for you. At least there wasn't back in the day when I was younger, talking like 20 plus years ago. And it's very hot, very miserable city to be in. And as homeless, I was homeless for around a month in Phoenix. So I had a car. Thankfully, I could sleep in that. Though that you literally had to pretty much be naked in the hot times, and the windows down, which isn't great when you're in a really bad part of the city, to not have the security of windows up. Anyways, so imagine you don't have a car and you're homeless, and you don't have even an option like this to return bottles for money. It's pretty brutal. What was my original point? I lost it. It happens sometimes. It's spaced out, but the people panhandling. So a lot of people resort to panhandling. So they would go and sit in these choice spots and wait for the light to turn red and have their sign, whatever, and maybe somebody gives them. And actually, it's common to give people something, whatever you got, whatever you're willing. In Arizona, they actually make a decent amount of money. And there's been a few people exposed over the years that were doing it for extra income. For example, there was a guy that was caught living in the area called the Foothills, which is a nice part of southern Phoenix in Ahwatukee. And it's like, these are really well-off people. Imagine you're back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and you're making over $200,000 a year. That's a lot. Is around like the bare minimum to live in that area. And nowadays that's, I don't know, over $400,000 you'd be making. Anyways, there was this guy that got caught. So what he had nice clothes under he had these like homeless looking clothes, and he would drive in his like BMW. He had a nice car. He would drive nearby and then walk over there in his like little homeless getup, and he'd panhandle. And this dude, I'm trying to remember how much he figured out that these people actually some of them make a decent amount. And so he did this for I don't know how many years. He got caught. Somebody suspicious followed him, and they watched him and followed him home, and he lived in the Foothills. And then the news got word of it, and they went and exposed this guy, and some of the information got out, and this dude was making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars extra a year. So this was something he'd do in his off time. He would just go panhandle in his off time and make tens of plus thousands of dollars a year, just panhandling, and he didn't need the money. And I'm like, that's a lot of money to be taken from poor people who actually need it. Not everybody that's panhandling is like a drug or alcohol addict or something. Like, these people actually need money. And imagine how much of a greedy scumbag you have to be to go and do something like that. And that was on, and think of that, that's panhandling. So that's like people giving you cash, a hell of a lot more than $1.75 an hour. And there are people that are stooping that low in America to go and take bottles and cans off the street, where people who are actually have little or no choice but to go and do that. Some of these people are like elderly or disabled or older ladies or people, usually ladies, that can't work, or they can't actively work. You just like, I'm trying to give you scenarios to just show you how just wicked. Look who they're taking from: the poor, the fatherless, the widow, the oppressed. I mean, you're a scumbag. Yahweh will rebuke you. And how many levels of this is happening on like every level of society? What I'm trying to say is that there's just nickel and diming there, robbing people that need the resources. This isn't just like, and I'm not just talking, like I said, I talked about these Indians and Arabs coming over to England, for example, for work. But there's also a lot of Hispanics, like Latinos, that are coming up to America for work. And so that's one aspect of it, right? But just thinking, just narrowing it down to the nation of America, like how many American citizens are being screwed by their own fellow American citizens on this level, on this scale? Like, think of that. It's like they're getting screwed everywhere. No wonder God is disgusted with the nation of America in the West. And don't get me wrong, he's not happy with a lot of pretty much all the nations, but Scripture makes that clear. But especially these nations, it's like they know better. It's just the amount of wealth that flows through the West, flows through places like England and America, is disgusting. It is crazy amounts of wealth, and yet look how little of it is dedicated to the poor. And I'm not talking like welfare programs. I'm like, dude, people need help. Education is a joke in the West. Educational institutions from public school to universities are a complete freaking joke. The resources are just given for people to avoid taxes and to influence the youth. And it's just wicked, nefarious deeds, and very little, if any of it, is to actually better a person and better a nation, a better community, better a nation. Very little of it, the intent is that. It's completely disgusting. What a waste. Why is it a shock when God's going to take the wealth away? Why then is it he's going to humble these nations and take their wealth away and give it to another, right? He said he was going to do that. Messiah said, right, giving you talents, if you're not responsible with it, right, it'll be taken from you, whether a lot or little, right? It will be taken from you and given to another. And so that's what was partly what I was trying to illustrate in the longer video earlier, is like, that's what's going to happen to America and England and these nations. Because they were unjust, it is going to be taken from them and given to others who will be far more responsible and have a lot more impact on people, both those that are in the body of Messiah and those that are coming into. Those great multitudes that's like described at the end of Revelation 7. It's like, it's going to be for them. So, anyways, hopefully that was edifying. That was completely disgusting, hearing that story. And I'm partly shocked because I knew people were doing it, but it just like, you hear evidence, you finally hear something, you're like, this is not worth it. I just got done doing it for an hour. Imagine I did that all day for 8 hours. What am I gonna make? Like a little over $10 for a day's work of walking around in miserable weather. I could barely buy any food with that. I wouldn't buy a meal. I'm not going to tell you how much I spent with my food stamps just to buy food that's going to keep me going. Because I only ate one meal yesterday, and I'm probably likely going to only eat one meal today. So that's what I've been boiled down to. I can't afford to eat more than one meal a day. Even though I have a good chunk of food benefits right now, I'll burn through it if I try eating more with the prices the way they are. Having to buy, if I could buy groceries like produce and stuff and make my own meals, I'd be set. I'd just buy some rice, buy some veg, and maybe have some fruit and some muesli or some oats, make some gluten-free oats in the morning or something like that, and like some bananas and a few nuts, and I'd be set. And then I could have a meal in the evening and cook my own meal. Some, like I said, rice and some vegetables and some seasoning and maybe some eggs. But I'd have to find a source for that because they're just crazy expensive otherwise. I'd be set. But I can't do any of that, so it's like I can't cook anything, so I have to literally buy packaged stuff, and it's crazy expensive. So anyways, all right, well, hopefully that was edifying. That was crazy world, man. All right, peace.